Well, hello there, and this is Auntie, and I am coming to you with a rant of a new show on WeTV called Grown and Gospel. This is season 1, episode 1. We're going to rant on this, and we're going to meet the cast. Are y'all ready to get into this? Let's do it.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie. Everybody needs
with a whoop whoop and a boop boop boop.
auntie that everybody needs.
You can make this up.
Now you know that these are some crazy motherfuckers.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie.
So why even bother?
Aunties and lives, sweet old auntie. Aunties and ways. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Well, welcome back, everybody, and this is Auntie. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you all so much for hitting that subscribe button and joining this family. To all of my nieces, nephews, and my members who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you all so much for your continued support. You all, this is a rant that I have got to do. If you know anything about me and you have been here with me on this channel for any length of time, you know that gospel music is my background. Now, a lot of you all hear me singing and stuff like that, and I have told my story multiple times here on this channel. But if you've been here maybe about a year or two, you probably don't know what your auntie's background is. And so you're probably curious, why is Auntie covering this? Honey, because this was my life. Okay. And we're going to get into it. If I had to rate grown and gospel, okay, season 1, episode 1, I would rate it an A. And I'm going to tell you why I would rate this an A. Because it's telling the truth, boo. It is telling the truth. It is letting you see the inside of what happens in churches and stuff like that. It appears that Carlos King has brought the kids out to tell a story, because those of us who grew up in my generation, we ain't gonna tell the truth, right? We're going to continue to sweep things under the rug and act like things don't exist in the gospel arena. A lot of my friends, we're all from the church and gospel arena. One of the things that I want to talk about just really, really quick, and this is just my opinion about it. When it says grown and gospel, right? It's not saying grown and sanctified. It's not saying grown and perfect. It's not saying grown and righteous. It's saying that they're grown in gospel, which in my interpretation is this next generation, okay, who is carrying on the gospel in the best way that they know how. Church, where I was going to church back in the day, isn't the same, but some of this stuff is always the same. As you can see in my thumbnail, I said, is this cliques or church as usual? And if you've grown up in the church, you know that there are cliques within the church. And we saw that play out on this episode. We're going to rant and we're going to talk about it. I saw that one young lady said that she was uncomfortable and disappointed, Auntie, that I was doing this. Sis, if you are uncomfortable and you're disappointed, please feel free to exit. I don't want you or anyone else to sit here and be uncomfortable. But this is part of who I am. And I am excited about covering something different. I don't want to be in the box. And I don't want anyone to box me in. And I don't have to give an excuse for doing what I want to do here at Auntie's Advice. Okay. So I'm going to put my glasses on because I did take some. Yes, Tasha. I grew up in church and the choir is messy AF, period. Those who say otherwise are not being 100. Absolutely. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to rant about it every week. And we're going to do, what we do with the whoop whoop and the boop boop boop. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Okay. So let me bring up their pictures as we introduce the cast of Grown and Gospel. I absolutely was interested in this when I saw Shana Wilson. Now, honey, when I saw her face on there, I was like, is that Shana? Is that Shana Wilson? Like, I was shocked. Now, a lot of these people I've heard of, but I was shocked when I saw that Shana Wilson was a cast member. Because I rock with it, lean with it with some Shana Wilson. And I'm hoping that this does not show her in another light. I'm supposing that it is. But guess what? Where grace is needed, grace is afforded. And sometimes we need to see the other side of people. Now, I don't know how disappointed I am going to be in, if Shane is out here showing her complete butthole, okay? But I'm really, really interested in seeing, what she does, okay? I don't like the amount of negative press the church and Christians get. They don't get as much as they should. It's too much. And everything is always against the church, Hollywood and all. That's not true. That may be your perception of it, but that is not true. A lot of things are brushed under the rug. They are hidden for years. And it's not enough that comes out about the church, in my opinion. You have yours and I have mine, and so I'll be interesting to see, baby girl, how we how we link up, right? And how we, find ourselves on the same pages. But I believe that there's a lot of things and it's been hidden in the church for many, 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 many years. And I believe that people try to make it taboo to have a discussion about it, and we need to have a discussion about it. Because it is what it is. And what we're seeing right here is clicks. And what we're seeing right here is what we all know is happening up in the church. Now, it may not be to the level that you are familiar with, baby girl, but stay around, holler at your girl, right? Stay down in the comments, okay? Because we need all sides. Everybody has an opinion, and I welcome yours, baby girl. So let's see where we can, come to a compromise on this, okay? I'm really interested in what it is that you have to say, and that's just being genuine, okay? So let me bring these people up, and we're going to get introduced to them. I'm in another screen, okay? So hold on for 1 second, just 1 second. Who is the first cast member? So this is a new reality series. And it's centering on the close-knit ties of the gospel music industry. This show is being produced by Carlos King, and it is set in Detroit, Michigan. Each cast member is involved in the business and has family connections with the greats in the game. So the first person that we're going to be being introduced to tonight is BreeAnn Hammond. And I'm telling you right now, I am liking BreeAnn. BreeAnn is the black sheep. BreeAnn is the daughter of Fred Hammond. If you are anything in the church industry, honey, in the church period, okay, you know about Fred Hammond. I mean, I don't know how many songs I have rocked as a former praise and worship leader, okay, about Fred Hammond. But honey, I'm gonna tell you, his repertoire, his songs, his legacy goes on and on and on. But we are getting ready to see the human side of Fred Hammond and his human relationship with his daughter BreeAnn Hammond. So I'm going to give you all a little bit of context. She is the daughter of Grammy, Dove, and Stellar Award winner Fred Hammond. BreeAnn is returning to the Motor City to give her dreams of musical stardom one more chance. But with little guidance from her legendary father and the two currently being semi-estranged, she has a lot to prove and has to work 10 times harder. She says her estrangement began after her parents' divorce. Still, she's hoping that one day they can reconcile. Now, from my understanding, he did weigh in on the show. And I can do a separate video where we talk about that, right? Because I am going to be getting into these people's business. I mean, I'm going to be getting into the business because I want to know why that husband is locked up. Okay. We will be getting into the business. I like BreeAnn. As I said, she's a black sheep. She's out of the circle. She feels out of the circle. She probably has caused herself to be out of the circle. And I think that she has a lot of healing to do. And I'm hoping that she can heal. We'll talk about all of that, right, y'all? We'll talk about that. But right now, we are meeting the cast. So the next person that we're going to be meeting is Tasha Page Lockhart. Okay. Mean girl number one. Okay. Tasha, BET Sunday Best Winner, is the daughter of Lisa Page Brooks. And she was one of the members of a contemporary gospel group called Witness. Now, Witness did not stay around a long time. I liked them, but they did not stay around a long time. For some reason, it seemed like to me when I really got into Witness, honey, they was gone. But anyway, she's a mother of two. And Lockhart has had hits like Different and Faith Come Alive. Never heard of them. But her marriage has been holding on by faith, and her road to divorce will probably be covered in the series. Like many who grew up under the strict confines of the church, Lockhart rebelled and paid a massive price. Her past mistakes always threaten to sabotage it all, but she refuses to be defined by her sins. Simultaneously, she's also working on a collaborative project with her stepbrother, Jay Brooks, as a respected producer. How interesting that they would describe this as, child, I am so ready to get into the daggone thing. It's very interesting how they describe this as paid a massive price. And how you can't do gospel music unless you are saved or sanctified or born again or fire baptized or whatever religion you are, that you cannot sing gospel music because you're not quote unquote in the church, but you can sing anything else. So I guess, if you're not living in a southern town, then you can't sing country music. Why do we box music in? If you're not a thug out on the street, you can't do hip hop. Music is universal, and music can be created by anybody. That's just my opinion about it. Y'all go ahead on the holler at y'all auntie in the comments, cuss me out, do whatever y'all gotta do. Because we're gonna be talking about this thing and we're gonna be cussing, okay? Because okay, that's what I do. Okay. So that's Tasha Page Lockhart. I'm not really familiar with her. And that's just the truth about the matter. So the next person we're going to be introduced to is Nikkia Beach Cole. Now, her story I find very, very intriguing. She is the daughter of Dorinda Clark of the Clark sisters, Auntie. Her relationship with her mother has been tested more times than not due to her being rebellious for much of her young adult life, which is my story. Oh my God, it's so my story. Now she's 40. She's more stable. I disagree with that. And working as a tour manager for her mother and aunts. But her past baggage is always lurking. So it appears that they all have things in common, that they have a troubled past. Her husband is currently serving out a prison sentence as she and her two children live with her parents. Now, if you all are anything like me, I'm sure that you all have looked at this and said, bitch, why is she living with her mother? But anyway, I digress. It may be some other reasons, but I'm sure that we will find out later on as we get familiar with Nikkia Beach Cole, who I see as a mean girl. Okay. The next person that we're going to cover is Elijah Connors, who I just ain't feeling like at all. Elijah is attracted attention after he appeared on the forum. I don't know. Since then, he's traded in the traditional gospel music for baby making R&B, which hasn't always been well received by his church community. He also has a certain flair that many consider being extra. He is extremely extra, and his antics and temper often get him into trouble. His goal is to erase the barriers of gospel versus secular music. I think that there are other people who have already broken those barriers, i.e. Kirk Franklin. I.e. What is his name? Oh my God. Because I love his music. Kanye West. There are other people who've already broken that barrier. So, be creative, boo. Decide to do something different, okay? Those barriers have already been broken. In my edition, Sounds of Blackness. There's multiple people who've already broken those barriers. So, move along, boo, move along. Who is the next person that we're going to where is his picture at? Jay Brooks. Okay, so let's get to know Jay Brooks. They don't give a lot about Jay Brooks, but I know that Jay Brooks' father is one of the founding fathers, along with Fred Hammond of Commission. And I don't know, how many of you all are familiar with Commission, but his dad is one of the founding fathers. And his father is also married to Tasha Pay Lockhart's mom. And so that's why he said that she was his bonus sister, because his dad is, with the mom and all of that kind of stuff, right? I thought that he was very subtle. I think that he has a level of maturity that the rest of the group just does not have. I think the rest of the group is doing more like church as usual, being phony and fake around your parents. And then when you're not around your parents anymore, you acting a complete and total ass. And so that is the cast. I think no, I did not get Shana. Shana Wilson Williams. Oh my God. I hope she don't act a complete butthole up out here on these streets. Because I love me some Shana. The singer, wife, and mother of three, raised by two pastors, highly reserved in Detroit. She doesn't always feel welcome by the gospel community. She often feels like an outsider, having to prove herself as she refuses to ride the coattails of her family's success. I know a couple of years ago, Shana lost her mom. But Shayna is absolutely a fireball. It's disappointing to hear that she feels that way about herself, because her and Tasha, what is it? Oh, Tasha. Oh my God. Tasha, is Tasha's last name Cobbs? To me, are in a league all by themselves. And they don't need validation, in my opinion, from anybody. I love Shayna. Like, I love Shayna. So she don't need nobody to accept her. And when I was introduced to Shayna Wilson, I know who her parents was, and that she came from her parents was pastors and they had mega church and stuff like that. I just was introduced to the anointing that is on this girl. Like, when this girl opens up her mouth, it's like heaven opens up. So I'm just like, Shayna, girl, by you in a league all by yourself. You are doing the thing. You are the next generation. And I hope you don't I hope you don't act an asshole here. Okay. Thank you so much, Queen T, for the 199 super chat. The devil is busy in all denominations of faith. Absolutely, Queen T. And I'm so glad that my boo thing hung around, and that she is and she and I are gonna work together, honey. Okay. Hmm. I'm glad she hung around. I saw her make a comment out here, and I'm glad that she and I are going. She's gonna hang around, and we're gonna, we're gonna debate this thing because when it comes down to religion, it's very touchy. Everybody has their own way of looking at religion and Christianity, and that's the only thing that I can speak of because I've never been anything else. I did when I was younger. I was going to a Methodist church, but I have and many other people have suffered church hurt, and we've suffered church hurt because of things that have happened, right? And the church is not perfect. It's a hospital, but we should be striving for perfection, and there should be some things that are not named among us, and that is the word, right? And so y'all going to see a different spin on the auntie that you think that and the auntie that some of you all do know. So we're going to get into it. So when we opened up this episode, right, we opened up this episode with Elijah. Elijah was laying in the bathtub. He dropped his robe on the ground, and I just thought that he was just going to do a striptease, just like right there on the screen. Elijah got in the tub and he started talking about, how he was done with the church and he's about the money and about the Benjamins and getting the paper. And we see him at this very nice home. Don't know whether or not that's his home or his family home. I don't know really who he's connected to. Have to do a little bit of research to see who he is connected to. But I'm not impressed with him. He was laying in the bathtub and he was singing, and I was like, he is so in his throat. If he don't use his motherfucking diaphragm so that we can get the truth. Teaching vocals, I know when somebody's in their throat. Boyfriend was completely and totally in his throat the whole entire time. It sounded a hot mess. And I was like, just go ahead on to put the rooster to bed. All right. But he, thinks more highly of himself than he ought to. Okay. And, he is coming out with a new EP, I guess. And he said he's released some singles, never heard them. And he is basically talking about where he wants to be. He indicated that if you're not on social media, then you ain't jack. And if you want your career to be popping, you have to be on some social media platform. He is announcing in the bathtub after he screams and hollers through his throat in his bathtub. He mentioned that he is going to be seeing a popular DJ in Detroit, and he's going to be releasing some information to his fans. And so that is our first introduction of Elijah. He absolutely is extra, but I think that he likes that, and I think that he wants to be known by that, and that's all good, boo. Do you. Okay. The next person that we meet is Nikkia Beach Cole. She is, again, the daughter of Dorinda Clark, the famous Clark sisters, whom I respect and have grown up watching them in the industry, running to concerts to see them. Like, what? And but I have never been, oh no, I take that back. Kiera Sheard. I love Kiera Sheard. I love her music. I love her range. I watched her as a little girl growing up and singing on stage with her mother, knowing that she was going to be a powerhouse. And she indeed is. She just recently got married. And so, we've watched her grow up in the gospel, okay? Because as you all know, I'm in my 50s, closer to 60 than I am in 50. And so I've watched these kids grow up. Nikkia was always a rebellious child, and Dorinda was, out there on the road, and she was doing what she was doing. But Dorinda supported her daughter, and I guess as best as she could. And sometimes, when you in the gospel industry or you in church and stuff like that, it is hard to be dual, right? You got a image that you have to uphold, and that's one of the things that is one of the most, I don't want to say deceitful, but one of the most complicated things to kind of balance is that, people see, church and gospel and religion and think that, you have to be here, and you can't come down and deal with what's happening downstairs, or what's happening outside, or what's happening with your kids, what's happening really with your real life. And Dorinda, of course, especially during those times in the 80s and stuff like that, and we was running behind them to all night concerts and stuff like that. She had to try to balance motherhood and her career. And so, Nikkia said that, she was out there in them streets, honey. She was doing what she was doing. And Nikkia, interestingly, indicated that, people should not judge other people, but yet and still, when Brianna came in to the room, she judged her immediately. Like they was sitting up there laughing and talking about the girl. So you can't have it both ways. Like you cannot have it both ways. After she got over the fact and the shock that her husband had surprised her with a party, she went immediately with Tasha, I think that's what her name, immediately and start dragging this girl. Like I just was like, I'm not gonna be able to do it. But that's how it is in the church industry. You will go broke trying to keep up with people with the shoes and the hair and the jewelry and all of that. And all of that is out on the outside. And God doesn't even judge that part of you. He judged the heart of a man. God doesn't care whether or not you got on Christian Louboutins. He doesn't care whether or not you got on shoes from Payless. He's looking at your heart. But see, as people, we judge the outside of what people have and what we think about people, and we put them in a box. Like the young lady that said, I'm disappointed that you're doing it. Get me out of a box, boo. You're not going to be able to put me in a box. It's not even fair to do that to somebody, to put somebody in a box, because in your personal life, you're not bold enough or brave enough to put your face on the screen like I do, week after week, day after day, month after month, year after year. So to make a criticism or criticisms like that, like some people, they barely get into church. They bumming rides and stuff like that. They want to be musicians. They're looking at this life and they don't know what it takes to have these kind of lives. And they don't know what other people have gone through. They don't know really what's going on behind those closed doors. She is a combination of grown and gospel and love after Lockhart. Her freaking husband is in jail. And while she's looking good on the outside and she's working with her mom and her aunt and everything, what an honor to be able to do that. But in the inside, there's a brokenness that's there. Like, let's just go ahead on and tell the truth and shame the devil. There's a brokenness that is there. Because she is not with her husband, and now here it is, she's living with her mom. So you can't tell me that she's not personally affected by that, mentally affected by that, spiritually affected by that. I like this show because it is just showing the real of what it is. It's showing the real. Now, we may find ourselves not liking some of these characters, right? But it's going to be what it's going to be out here in these streets on Auntie's advice. So anyway, she's talking to her mother, and her mother was like, your 40th birthday's coming up, what you plan on doing? And she was like, nothing, I'm just going to chill, whatever. I'm just going to chill out and stuff. So the mother was like, okay. So next thing you know, we see, she's talking about what her job is. She's their tour manager and, she works with them on the fashions and stuff like that. And I know that's a little difficult because the Clark sisters are older women. And so you have to try to find clothes that are stylish yet mature. Because we can't be having no brassicas or nothing like that hanging out on the stage. Okay. Now I know that Karen, I believe it is. Is it Karen? I think it's Karen. Her husband is over the Kojic church. And I don't know nothing about Kojic. I didn't come up Kojic. But I know that the two of them are public figures. And so I'm sure that, it's even a challenge with dressing her. But She has 2 kids. She's living at home with her mother. While she's not living out on her own, I don't know. Because if her husband, in my opinion, can afford to throw her a birthday party, because he called the mom on the phone and was like, her 40th birthday is coming up. I'm not going to be home for that, but I do at least want to throw a party. I'm going to send you some money and I want you, to plan a party. So the mother was like, cool, cool, cool. And so we see with them. Thank you so much, Queen T, for the 199 super chat. I can't keep up with the fashions at my church. Okay. And be in leadership. And be in leadership. And be in leadership. Okay. Okay, Kimberly, so you can relate. I'm going to be looking it up and I'm going to do a video on it. I just have to make sure that the man that I see is the man that she's married to. Okay, so yeah, we're going to find out about that. And so, we see her life and all of that kind of stuff. It later on in the episode, we saw her sitting on the bed, and she had all these flowers and stuff, and she was making preparations for, her husband, and to have a romantic evening. And not automatically, because we have been looking at Love After Lockup for what now, 5-6 years. So I automatically knew without saying anything that he was incarcerated. The telephone call, the quality of the phone call gave it away immediately when he called the mother. I was like, this is Love After Lockup. And maybe that's why Carlos has been interested in Love After Lockup, right? Because WETV is where Love After Lockup is. And so, and then he knows that Nikkia husband is locked up. So maybe that's why Carlos King has taken a liking for the show. I know that he likes Monique and Derek, but I think that, he got some things in common now. She's a Love After Lockup. And so she was, describing to her husband what she had on. She had the strawberries and all that kind of stuff. She went all out. And as we all know, the people from Love After Lockup do the same thing with their mates who are incarcerated. And so, she was trying to have this romantic dinner and stuff with him, and it just was a dud. She described what she had on. She indicated that, living at home with her mother, she doesn't have the privacy that she was afforded before. And, then we see her spanking her own ass, okay? And they made it appear, because we know we TV producers, we know the cameramen and grip men. Of course, they made it look like the children were overhearing it, but the children ain't hear nothing, child. She was in that room enjoying herself and doing what she do, just like all the other women and men who are dating someone in jail. We're totally familiar with that. Okay, so we ain't bamboozled and we ain't hoodwinked about it. Tasha Page Lockhart, I don't remember finding out a whole lot about her, other than she's a mean girl. The most that we saw of her really is when she was with Jay Brooks. Now, Jay Brooks is, again, he's with commission. His dad is with commission. And, he appears to be, very ingrained in the music industry. He is like a big brother, a mentor and everything. And he ended up, meeting with BreeAnn, who is Fred Hammond's daughter, and was trying to give her some information about, or some encouragement about being in the music industry. He appears to be the glue that is holding this group together, although he doesn't seem as catty as everybody else, right? But he is the glue that's holding this thing together. And so we have to go back. And like I said, I don't remember a lot about Tasha Page Lockhart. So anyway, BreeAnn, who is the daughter of Fred Hammond, has moved back to Detroit. She has left her husband wherever he is. Wherever he is, she done left him. And she's living in an efficiency with an airbag on the ground, trying to get her hustle on and trying to get into the music industry. She appears to be flown and thrown around with every wind of doctrine and don't have herself anchored anywhere. She up and rolled out from her husband to pursue a career in music. Now, I don't know how much I believe, other than what I believe is that she is in Detroit to film. I don't believe that she wants a career in music. I believe that she has toyed with the idea in the past, but I don't believe that she is in Detroit because she trying to get her music career together. Because when she was sitting down and having a conversation with Jay Brooks, she was all over the place. And as she was making excuse after excuse after excuse why she's not doing a job. And anybody who has been in the music industry or even remotely close to the music industry, you know that your hustle got to be on. Your hustle got to be on. I follow her on Instagram, and she just reached 10,000 subscribers. So she ain't been serious about this. This is not something that she's wanted to do, but she wants the acceptance of her father. I couldn't understand because I love me some Fred Hammond, Auntie. I love me some Fred Hammond, but I'm old enough to realize that Fred Hammond has another side to himself. I was very disappointed to hear that at the age of 16, her mom and her dad got a divorce. And it seems like the mom walked away with nothing, honey. She said that her mom was a farm tech and was making $12 an hour after she spent 16 of her years building that man's career up. Bitch, I was done. I was like, you didn't secure the bag. They adopted a child, a son, and that is her, her brother. And I'm thinking, was she getting child support, or was this child support that she was getting wasn't enough? Was he not filing W-2s, bitch? Like what was going what was going on? Now, we know as entrepreneurs, when you self-report and stuff like that, that you can kind of say what you make and what you don't make, right? Because you're an entrepreneur and you filing. But I'm just like, the mother didn't secure the bag. What the hell's going on? It's so sad that you hear so many women who go out here and build a man's career. And I'm not saying that that's Fred Hammond's fault. But you go out here as a woman and you build somebody else's career. Now, that was her husband. But then you come out, you left with an empty bag, bitch, at the end of the day. Like, no, we're not doing that. And her mother didn't even look like, she was even happy where her life is now. And the stepson and everybody, they was talking about it, and she was saying, I don't, BreeAnn was like, Bree don't really have this relationship with their father, based on her mother and father's divorce. But that's a problem with a lot of children of divorce or separation and stuff like that. They take on a responsibility and think that it may have been something that I've done. And then they get, too involved in the parents' relationship, and your whole life get destroyed because, of a divorce. And I don't understand that. My mom and dad were together, but so I don't have no understanding of that. But I can imagine. But Bree, you gotta come up. And one thing about Bree, it seems that Bree has a little shady past. I don't know whether or not she was, out there, in the service industry. But there's something about Bree's past, and the thing about it is that Bree is wearing, in my opinion, all her wounds and her hurts on her. And it's okay, Bree, to pick up and do it all over again, but you are committed under God. And I'm hoping that Bree and her husband are in an agreement that she could move. It didn't seem like they was, but you would not think that a child of Fred Hammond would be living on an air mattress. But again, we gotta, I'm trying to give myself a chance to wait this out, to really see what happened in the relationship between her and her father. Because, honey, I don't want to be pointing no fingers and placing no blame, because I will cut somebody out here. So I really want to see, what is really going on with Bree. As I said, Bree is absolutely moving to and fro with every wind of gospel. Now that is a scripture in the Bible, because when she sat down and had the conversation with Jay Brooks, she wasn't putting the work in. She was talking about what it is that she wanted to do, but she did not, she had no fruit. And a tree is known by the fruit that it bears. So when we see no fruit on the tree, then we know she ain't rooted and grounded into what it is that she wants to do. I don't know what she was doing in the past. I know that she's married. I saw her on the carpet of the release date and stuff like that, and she seemed like that was her husband. She was all bundled up with, finer than a mother. Okay, her husband fine, boo. But everybody has an expectation that Bree is supposed to look a certain way. And when the girls start dragging and ragging on her, and then Tasha Lockhart said that she looked a little Salvation Army-ish, I just wanted to jab her in her throat because I'm sitting there saying, "Boo, you couldn't swing with the girls here in the city. There are girls that are out dressing you, and here you are sitting up there. Y'all talk about the girl's natural hair because she has her hair natural. First of all, Elijah got jealous of her because she had her hair blonde and said that was me. And then he gonna go over there and put his hand in her fucking hair. I said, oh no, he's doing too much. You know what I'm saying? Now look, I'm gonna tell you right now, boo. Put your head. That's assault. And so when I get up from this table and I get to whooping up on your ass, then you're going to say I got a problem and I ain't saved. No, I'm not saved, because you wasn't saved when you put your hand up in my hair. I'm a whole ass woman with a husband. You don't put your hand in my hair. And then he's going to sit up there and talk about she suffers from LSE, low self-esteem. She does. But that's not the time for you to knock her and drag her around while she's down. Because somebody's gonna knock and drag you while you down, because you're not a household name. You're not sitting on my kitchen table. You're not in my playlist. I don't know you on Spotify, boo, Apple Music. Never heard of you before. So it's just amazing how you can see somebody who's downtrodden, going through some things, and then you just automatically kick them while they down. Because I don't know, how many people are doing reviews on this or whatever. No, I know that what you call them is doing it. Y'all know I follow her, Pink. Oh my God, what is her name? Because Carlos shouted her out. And I was like, oh my God, my girl is doing it. I cannot think of her name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. I put her in my community wall before. But I don't know how many people going to be, liking him and not dragging him. He's going to have to deal with some things too, because when you put yourself out there, you got to deal with. But I was like, this is the mean crew, and they sitting over there talking about her because Jay Brooks has great intention. He brought all of them together at a restaurant, and he's sitting up there with sequence on and don't know what to order off the damn menu. Wants everything to be, 5-star, but bitch, you sitting in a 1-star Coney Island hot dog joint. Like, where we do that at? How do we get grand and wonderful when we sitting in, allegedly it's 1-star. It may not be. I'm just saying that, But you sitting in a restaurant that's 2 stars at best, in my opinion, and your ass is trying to order like you in a 5-star restaurant, you in a Michelin joint. Like, sit down. Sit down. Ain't gonna talk about some how does she dress, she can't sit with us. Don't nobody want to sit with you. Then when she comes into the party, then it already said the girl look like Salvation Army, and she is just got her natural hair. It's short, it's cute, it's well kept. She looks adorable to me. So you gonna drag somebody because they choose to wear natural hair? But see, that's the thing in the Black community. That's the thing in the Black community. Colorism, hair. It's always been there, always will be there. No matter how united we try to come. No matter how many, it doesn't matter how many Black groups that we have that to assist women with building up their self-esteem. As Black women, self-acceptance. being able to convert back to your natural hair after being told that your hair wasn't acceptable, putting perms and chemicals in your hair in order for it to be straight. Okay. I went natural hair. Carly, when did I go natural to my natural hair? Probably, was it 6 years ago now? Maybe 6 years ago I went natural. But that's after decades of perming my hair, waking up with scabs and sores on it, losing my edges. Come on now. See, we don't want to have those conversations. And that's why I'm looking at this show and I'm saying this show is more about other things than it is really about the church. Grown in Gospel is going to be an avenue, in my opinion, to open us up to have other conversations. So let's give it a chance. And if we feel like we don't like it, okay, then we'll stop. We won't review again. But let's give it an opportunity so that we can have real conversations about real things. Because this girl is natural and she's absolutely beautiful. And is she suffering from LSE? Absolutely she is. And it is not his job as a man to build her up, but those women who are around her need to build her up. She also needs Titus 2 women. And it was amazing because when we saw Nikkia sit down with her mom and her aunt, who are legends in the game, who have seen a lot of things, they sat there and tried to talk to her about your past and how you can mentor her, how you can help her out of this situation. And then she gets with her crew and gets catty. See, we can't be both things at the same time. Either you're going to be a Titus 2 woman or you're going to be a Jezebel and you're going to tear it down. You need to pick a side. Pick a motherfucking side, Nikkia, because at one point you was BreeAnn. And you sit down with the old woman, the Titus 2 women, and then you fake it out, and then you get around your girlfriends and you drag her and rag her. That's not right. That's not how you do things. And you could see that she was the only one that they showed coming there with a card and some flowers. So it's not like she doesn't have the foundation to be a phenomenal woman. She has the foundation, unlike y'all asses, not unless the production just thought that the gift that you brought was so insignificant that they didn't want to show it. But I think that Brianna is going to end up being the breakout star from this, because what you cannot do is you cannot appear to be, on top of your game and all this kind of stuff and treat her like crap and then think that we're not going to root for the underdog. We're going to root for the underdog. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, bitch. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Her husband, gave her a surprise party. Everybody, all the who's who in Detroit was at the party. And she was shocked and she was crying. And of course, they had the cell phone up, honey. Love at the lockup. They had the cell phone up and the husband was talking, and saying, I love you, baby, and all this kind of stuff, straight from the prison walls. Jassy Golden. She said, sorry to the Detroiters in here, but when I lived there, I found a lot of people to be wannabe uppity, but basic at best. See, Golden to tell the truth out here in these streets. I could not do this show. And I said, I know this is going to be different because a lot of you all were not around when I was doing Bravo, Housewives of Atlanta, and all those kind of different shows. So this is a different side that you all are seeing from me. Also, this is, me being, familiar with the music industry and stuff like that. I could not do this show. This is an opportunity for us to have real conversations, to talk about real things in a real environment, whether we like it or not, whether we agree or we don't agree. Let's just give each other the courtesy to have the conversations. I think that this is one of those shows that would be great for me to open up the phone lines like I used to. Back in the day, I used to open up the phone lines and we used to have a discussion about it. So what are you saying? The crazy part that they just, wait a minute, what? The crazy part, they judge BreeAnn, but no one judge her husband in jail because who her famous is. Lamar Boo, you was trying. Lamar, you was trying, boo. I ain't understand hardly none of that. I think I know what you trying to say. Okay. Now that I know you're reviewing it, I'll continue watching. I was on a fence about continuing to watch it. Good, Valerie. Yeah, let's have these conversations. Thank you, Tiffany D. I've been in the church. I've seen it. I'm telling you, I've seen it all from convention to convention. Like you will be surprised about the things that happen in the church and just how mean people in the church are and how people will take the word and use it against you and not understand that you stand under the same God, that you stand under the same sun that rises in the morning and the same moon that comes up at night, that exposes itself at night. Okay, because the moon is always there. It just exposes itself at night. They're both there. And one thing about the church, we can be so critical because we believe, because we, some of us speak in tongues and we're praying and we're intercessing, doing intercessory prayer and all of that, that we're above something, not knowing that the same God who created you created me. The same God who loves you loves me. And guess what? The thing that the word says is that God is married to the backslider. He is married to them. And guess what? He gets up every day. He is seeking you. He is in love with you, and he loves you with an insatiable love. Nobody is better than anybody else. That's one of the things that I learned growing up in the church. You think because you're pastor this, or you're evangelist this, or you're apostle this, that you are more special. Let me tell you something. When God blew air and breath into your body and he made the blood run in your body, you are no better than me, and I'm no better than you. We are all God's creation. We are all created in his image. And because you grew up in the church and I did not, does not mean that the anointing of God that's on your life is greater than the anointing that is on mine. Because God said it's not by works that any man shall boast. It's not by works. It ain't by your pastor. It ain't by none of that, honey. It ain't by none of that. Because you see people who have walked in their purpose and they never worshiped or served God and have created and done things that the average church folk won't get off this sofa to do. Won't get off this sofa to do. They're coming in with their Bible, honey, and their religious attitude. But have they ever changed their life? Have they ever sacrificed? And I'm going to tell you right now, God will find you. And your parents ain't got to be no pastor for you to be anointed. Ain't not one person put here on this earth that's any greater than anybody else. And I don't care who your mama is. Nikkia, Tasha, Paige Lockhart, BreeAnn, Elijah are showing us that just because you grow up in gospel don't mean you stay there. It doesn't exonerate you. It does not make you immune to sin. We were born and birthed into sin. Point blank, period, poo. We were born into it. It is what it is. Every man has to walk his own path. He has to walk in his own light. He has to walk into his own purpose. Every man has to do that. And because you got a parent who's a pastor or anything else, does not guarantee you eternal life. You got to live it out. You got to have a relationship with God. If mama don't go, if daddy don't go, if don't nobody go, I got to have my own separate relationship with God. And you know what? The Bible says that seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Yes, you got a praying grandmama. Yeah, you got a praying daddy, okay? It's a whole lot of people that's out here praying and interceding for the world. You fall up under the prayer, the umbrella of intercessory prayer, because I know my girlfriend church, honey, pay for everybody. Okay? They pray for hours and they pray for everybody. So they are people who are not being just praying for their own family, but praying for others. But this is going to give us an opportunity to see the gospel in a way. And yes, I am going to cuss through it. Okay? Because I'm going to go here and be who I am. But we're going to get the point across. Because one thing about it, my foundation is sure. My foundation is sure. Let's get a short chance. Thank you so much, Carlos King, for giving us an opportunity of having this conversation, because if the show won't out here, we wouldn't be doing it. But honey, we're doing this one because I cannot wait, as I said, to see Shana Wilson. And I'm hoping that she ain't a whole hot mess. I'm hoping that she is the lovely person that I have come to love for years. I love that girl. Okay. Anyway, y'all, this is the end of my rant of the new show on WeTV, Grown and Gospel, Season 1, Episode 1. If you like what you've heard here today, go ahead on and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and share it on your social media platforms. Let's get other people to join in the conversation as we review Grown and Gospel. Thank you all so much for the super chats tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my moderators who always keep the room nice and safe for everybody to be able to have a conversation. Y'all, until we meet again, you all be safe out there in those streets. Y'all know I love y'all to pieces. Good night, y'all.